Hey sis, welcome back to our last installment of our Summer Sex series. Over the course of this series, we have discussed how vital sex is to marriage. We've challenged our thoughts and ideas about sex that were misconceptions. We've seen that God designed sex with intimacy and closeness in mind. Overall, I hope that you've gained one major takeaway from this series. Sex is good. It doesn't just feel good, it is good. And within the confines of marriage, it's also godly. Since that foundation has been laid in the previous teachings, today I want to offer 4 practical tips for you. I hope you got a pen and some paper, because here we go. First, I want you to remember that sexual encounters don't begin and end physically. Our minds must engage first. That means that as a couple, we must foster intimacy in all aspects of our lives. We need to keep our emotional connection strong. We need to spend time together, hold hands, and even remember how much we loved each other. If we do things outside of the bedroom to remain close, it's going to make it somewhat easier to connect sexually when we're in the bedroom or wherever we may be. Second, I want you to be aware of how often you and your husband engage in sex. Keep note of it, even on a personal calendar if you need to. You need to be aware. We shouldn't be going weeks without engaging physically unless we have both agreed to do so. If you see that it's been a while, get some rest. Do something that relaxes or rejuvenates you, your favorite things, something that's going to put you in the frame of mind to initiate sex. Maybe you need a long hot shower. Nothing wrong with that. Maybe you need to sit quietly in your car, but do whatever you need to do to rejuvenate yourself. Maybe you need to send flirty texts to your husband. Maybe you need to, do things that engage your mind and about how much you love him, how much you appreciate him, and how much you want him. Once you recognize that it's been a while, make an effort to disrupt that cycle. And let me say this. Every sexual encounter doesn't have to be super passionate or with candlelights and rose petals. Those are nice, but they are not necessary. There will be some days that you engage in what I call maintenance sex. That's just sex for the sake of having sex. It doesn't mean that you're necessarily in the mood or you've been desiring it all day. It just means I know we need to have sex, and because I want this marriage to be healthy, I'm going to engage in that. I really do believe that maintenance sex can go a long way in the health of your marriage. It shouldn't be our default. It should not be what we do all the time. But in moments, it can demonstrate that you know that there's a need and you're willing to meet the need for both of you, not just him, but for you as well. It says that you care about the sexual health of your relationship and you're willing to engage, to meet the need that he has. And often what starts as maintenance sex can end up being a very passionate encounter. So as long as both parties are in agreement, maintenance sex can sustain the health of your sex life. But in order to avoid frequent maintenance, try to foster intimacy outside of the bedroom. Spend time together. Hold hands. Discuss personal triumphs and challenges. Connect. Stay connected. That brings me to a third point. We should never use sex as some sort of reward or punishment. You know what I'm talking about. If your spouse acts the way that you think he should act, helps you with the kids, or buys you some wonderful gift, then he deserves sex. But if he does something you don't agree with, or just doesn't do what you want him to do, he better not rub your leg in the middle of the night thinking that he has a chance of being intimate. At the core, sis, that's manipulation, and it's ungodly. It shows our husbands that they have to earn intimacy with us. We've got to remember that sex isn't a weapon. We don't use it to wield to get our way. When we weaponize sex, we're creating a pattern of mistrust in our marriages. We're breaking down mutual respect. We're not honoring God with the act that he instituted to draw us closer to one another. We're damaging our marriages. So let's not use sex as a reward or a punishment. My fourth point is along the same lines as using sex as a reward or punishment because it breeds mistrust, and it's this. Don't make big promises that you can't keep. If you send flirty texts all day promising a night to remember, Please don't fall asleep in your polka dot pajamas. If we say not tonight, but I promise you that we're going to do it tomorrow night, then you need to do everything in your power. I need to do everything in my power to make tomorrow night happen. We can't consistently promise things that we don't deliver because it diminishes our credibility. Eventually, our husbands will not believe us and they won't even expect anything to happen. It will even cause them at some points to lose interest. So we can't overpromise and then not deliver. My last point is that we need to continually and openly talk about sex. I want to insert here something that I think is very important, and this is you can pray about sex. I know that for some that's kind of an odd thing to do, but we can pray about everything. Remember, sex was God's idea. And so if we've got questions about it, if we've got concerns about it, we can talk to him about it. We can find scriptures that show his heart about sex and even begin to align our hearts to his. So we can pray about sex, but we can also talk to our partners about sex. We can ask them how healthy they feel our sex lives are. We can ask them what they like, what they don't like, how frequently they would like it. Remember, our husbands are the ones that we're supposed to be naked and unashamed with. And so we've got to, stop clutching our pearls. We've got to stop being prudish about it, and we have to openly discuss it so that the enemy is not winning when it comes to the sexual health of Christian marriages. We've got to stop being the stereotype that people get married and don't have sex, because that was never God's intention. So we need to talk about it. And if we're having trouble having those discussions with our husbands, if we're not on the same page, there's nothing wrong with seeking professional and wise counsel. And I encourage Christian professional counseling. And so there are many resources out there for us to pursue. There is no shame in doing that. So, as we wrap up this series, I want to congratulate you for doing something major. And that's acknowledging the importance of sex. If you've watched one or two videos or all the videos in this series, that means that you acknowledge that sex is important, not just to your husband, but it's important to God. And I think that is huge. I'm hopeful that this teaching has had some meaningful moments for you, that is spurred some actions for you, that has challenged your thinking in some way. Most importantly, I hope that it started a journey of aligning your thoughts with God's as it relates to sex. If you need more resources, if I can be of any support to you in any way, you can find the link to my the link to my website in the description box below this video. I'd love to hear your feedback and comments on this series. And if you've applied any of this information you've learned, I would love to hear about that as well. Keep growing, sis. And remember, changed wives change lives. Until next time, make sure you're subscribed, and I cannot wait for our next series.